and sixes. 10, 9, 8, 76ers.
What's going on, everyone? This is UK 76ers. My name is Ben Glasspool, and last night the Philadelphia 76ers beat the Indiana Pacers by 119 points to 110 without Joel Embiid, thereby ending the losing run we were going on without Joel. And it happened in the most unlikely of circumstances. It was for all intents and purposes, the first three quarters were pretty abysmal, but that fourth quarter was some of the best basketball you've seen the Sixers play this season, even with Embiid. But majority of the basketball, look, we scored 37 points in that fourth quarter, but we want to talk about the defense, and you know where I'm going to go with that. But before I get started quickly, a few announcements I've got to make. I've recently partnered up with USA Sports Merch, fantastic UK-based sports retailer that will satisfy all your needs, be that Sixers, be that Eagles, be that Phillies, be that Flyers, or anything else in between. I'm going to check it out sooner after this video, actually, because I mean, whilst I'm a Sixers fan, I am also a Denver Broncos fan, so I might need a bit more Broncos merch to add to my already overflowing bits of merch that I've got on my wall and wherever else. But now they can sort you out. The fact that they're UK based is fantastic. You know, you want to help them, the local businesses, and like myself, I think there's a lot of parallels between, just starting something just so organically from the base with a page or with, a retailer. And I'm sure you guys can say the same, guys, NBA UK fans, or if you're UK Clippers, UK Bucks, UK whatever. It's always nice just to help out people who are in a very similar position to yourself. So if you want to check those guys out, I will leave a link in the description below. You guys can get 25% off with a code, which again I'll leave in the description below, and you can help this page out, of course, as well. So that'll be greatly appreciated. So we'll just go straight into the game. Now, my guys at Visiball, who you know I absolutely love, and they've been just providing me some awesome stats. This morning I opened my emails and I checked out the stats they sent me after last night's game. And the one that stuck out, and I think the one that almost tells the whole story indeed of that fourth quarter, was the usage rates and the player impacts. And you would have thought, Tobias Harris, and indeed he did have the highest usage and he did have the highest player impact. And then you would have thought, Ben Simmons. I mean, understandably so, he had a great game, 21 points, 6 rebounds, 7 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Monumental game from Ben Simmons. The second highest player impact was Furkan Korkmaz. He had a 24-point usage, and he finished on 17 points this game, 3 of 5 from 3, 6 of 12 from the field, and he willed us to victory in that fourth. Look, I talked about the defense, but some guys got to put it on the offensive end too, and Furkan Korkmaz was that guy. And it wasn't until I saw that stat provided to me by Visiball where I just didn't quite fathom just how important he was to this win. Look, you can see it with the eye test, but sometimes the stats don't always back it up. And this is one of those which definitely shocked me. And going further than that, the guy with the third most highest player, in fact, was Dwight Howard, who had a fantastic game. Hopefully he's out of this rut. He finished on 11 points, 15 rebounds. Look, he didn't have a great time from the free throw line, but when does he? He was 5 of 12 from the free throw line. And can you imagine if he could just drain a couple of those, and he's almost a 20 and 15 guy. So that was 2 fantastic games from people who have struggled a bit of late, and it's always good to see that, hopefully they can break out of their rut and then really help this team push on. And they were fantastic. And you want to shout out those guys, but you also need to give a heck of a shout out to Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris, of course, but also to Matisse Thybulle. And we'll talk about those first 3 quarters in a moment, but I want to start with that fourth quarter because that's the main talking point. And it looked, like I said, for all intents and purposes, that this was going to be a loss. We went into the fourth, I want to say, about 15, 16 points down. It was very bleak. We didn't look like we were going to get anywhere, especially defensively. We're giving up far too much. People are just getting the looks they want. They're getting by their players, getting into the lane very easily. Aaron Holiday was going off. TJ McConnell was having a good game. He's like, okay, it's just going to be one of those days. And the start of the fourth quarter, we had to call a timeout in the first minute to sort it out because it wasn't going well. It wasn't going well at all. But then all of a sudden it just flipped on a switch. There was, we hustled and we worked hard. The defense got tight, and that was led by Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle in a 2-3 zone. And the funny thing is that, after the game, Tobias Harris said, we've only had worked about 5-6 minutes on a 2-3 zone. And a 2-3 zone was what got us this victory because the Pacers didn't have an answer for it. And you've got to shout out one of the members of the coaching staff, the backroom team, a guy called Dan Burke. He apparently used to work for the Pacers. Apparently, we're not sure if this is true, but this is what has apparently been said. Apparently, he said, they're not very good at, exposing a 2-3 zone. So we went for it. And when you have Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons spearheading the zone, you're always going to struggle. And boy, did they struggle. Matisse Thybulle had 16 deflections. Now, I don't know what the record is for a quarter or for a fourth quarter even, but that's got to be up there. That's incredible. That's insane. And he was fantastic. And even offensively, he had a really crucial and one of all, Matisse of all people, and he drained the free throw in a clutch minutes, and we just really went for it. And we ended up going, but by the end of the game, we were on a 31-6 run. We outscored them by 22 points in that fourth quarter, 37-15. And the Pacers didn't get a field goal in nearly the last 6 minutes, just under 6 minutes of the quarter. Almost half the quarter, the Pacers went bucketless. And that is such a testament to this team. And it is all, you hope that this can be a turning point, because the thing is, Embiid's always, there are going to be games where Embiid isn't playing, because we want to preserve him for the playoffs, of course. So we need to figure out how we can win games without Joel Embiid. Look, when the playoffs comes, then we're going to have that advantage of Embiid, and we're going to be able to win games because Joel Embiid's there. But we're going to have to find ways to win, because we can't just lose every game without him and win the ones with him. It's just unsustainable. We need to find games to win without him, so that when we come against teams like Indiana, when we don't have Embiid, it's no problem. And we found a way. I am still a bit worried, because you can't just expect to overturn a 20-point deficit, 15-20-point deficit in the fourth quarter and put in defense that's this tight. And our fourth quarter defense this season has been good. It has really been good. But to outscore a team by 20 points in a fourth, you can't do that all the time. We can expect to outscore teams in the fourth, but not 20 points all the time. It's unsustainable. It can't be done. But we got to take the positives, and this was just a fantastic, resolute, resilient display. Because how many times have we seen the Sixers fold? And for all the world looked as if we were going to fold. I think I want to say from early in the third, I thought this game's done, because I've seen it all before. I mean, we see it all the time without Joel. This team just gets lost, and we don't know what to do. But I want to give credit to Ben Simmons, because I think the penny might have just dropped for him, that he realised, and I think in this game he realised, it's going to have to be me and Tobias that get this done. We got to give ourselves the chance to win this game, and it's going to have to be us two. And he got aggressive. He was going to the hoop a lot. He should have had a hell of a lot more and ones, because they were fouling him, but somehow they weren't getting given. But that doesn't bother him. He was still finishing at the rim and finishing with both hands and finishing rather efficiently, and that's all we want from the guy. And he was fantastic, as I said, facilitating. He still got those 7 assists. Normally maybe you expect to go into double digits, but I think that's the trade-off you get from him going aggressive, because more often than not on plays he's going to the hoop rather than facilitating. And I'm absolutely fine with that, because I think he struck a really nice balance here, getting those points and also getting those assists and getting people involved. So he was fantastic, and like I said, him and Tobias willed this team to win. And Tobias, despite had a bit of early foul trouble, well, not early, sort of third quarter, he had a bit of foul trouble, but he managed to hang on in there, play sensible basketball. And again, he came up with some crucial buckets. From that mid-range, he's been lethal from the mid-range. He was, again, solid from three. I think I'm going to say he was 2 of 5 from three, so that's about 40% or so. Again, an efficient evening for him. 27 points, 8 rebounds. And we just keep going strength for strength. And this was... We can talk about the Celtics victories, and we can talk about the Lakers victories as highlight wins for us. This is up there for me this season, because I saw something I haven't seen before, and that was the Sixers digging deep. Now, like I said, I don't want to get complacent. We can't expect to get have performances like we did in those first 3 quarters and expect to win, because there came a point where I believe I'm going to get the graphic up on the video when I edit this. I want to say the Pacers in terms of win probability are about 98% likely to win at one point. You're not going to overturn those odds too often. But again, it's a testament to how good we were. But those first 3 quarters, let's just let's go over them, because we've got to humour ourselves and see what did go wrong. Because there was a lot of things wrong. A lot of things good in that fourth, and we really did redeem ourselves, and Matisse was excellent, as I've said, but stuff needs to be worked on. So we had a great start. I thought we had an 8-0 run, and then they kept coming back. They're getting wide open looks, as teams so often do against us, exploiting us in the pick and roll. And I did tweet this out. I was just like, why is it whenever teams go around a screen, it's essentially an open look, but when we go around a screen, we're still guarded tightly? It's something that does need to be worked on. We need to work on how to exploit the pick and roll better, and we also need to learn how to defend it better. Be a bit wise to things, because Brogdon was going around the screen so many times, getting that 3, and he's a good three-point shooter. He's a 50, 40, 90 guy more often than not. So we gave him far too much respect from the three-point line. Aaron Holiday was going off, and that was a quintessential sort of sixery thing to do, to let some randomer go off. And like I said, it just looked like one of those days. TJ McConnell had a few nice steals, a few nice plays, and you would have thought this team would know how to defend TJ McConnell given how long he's been at the Sixers. I mean, you don't give him anything to sniff at. You can't let him intercept passes. Every pass has to have purpose, has to have pace, and be direct and quick. Otherwise, he'll snap them up. We didn't quite, for whatever reason, we didn't quite figure that out early on. But, you know, we tied him down towards the end. He had a lot of turnovers in that fourth, and again, it's because of that defense, but that did frustrate me. Then we had on my notes I've got in the second quarter, we had a lineup of Milton, Maxey, Thibault, Korkmaz, and Howard. Now, we talked about Simmons, Matisse, and Howard as a lineup doesn't work, and at this point it looked the same thing minus Ben Simmons. But the ironic thing is, in that fourth quarter, we had Howard, we had Thibault, and we had Ben Simmons, and it worked fantastically well. So this can work. It just needs a bit of refining, and I think I need to almost apologise to the Sixers for denouncing this lineup. And perhaps it's only one game, and perhaps I am right, but I'd like to think I'm not. And I think that fourth quarter showed me that this can work, because you had Matisse and you had Ben funneling them into the post, and you had Dwight Howard, doing Dwight Howard things, getting blocks, bringing that energy, getting rebounds, and like I said, he was fantastic. He plays a simple game, but when he does it well. He hasn't done it recently, but he had a great game against Miles Turner, who is a good centre. Ironically, he was giving it a large at how he could take on Embiid and all that. He fouled out to Tony Bradley and Dwight Howard. So, nice one, Miles. But Tony Bradley did start, and I'm not sure if it's coincidence that Dwight suddenly played better with that bench unit. He played more minutes than Bradley, but he just didn't start. But it looks like that worked when Embiid isn't playing. Tony Bradley, you know what he does, just rebounds and putbacks and anything else. Solid, but nothing to shout about. But he can only improve, in my opinion, and I do think we need to nurture the guy and let him learn off Dwight and Joel, because I think he can be a valuable piece going forward on a good deal if we wanted to extend his contract. But yeah, so Dwight had the majority of the minutes. He finished the game, and he was fantastic. That trifecta of Simmons, Thibault, and Howard arguably won us this game, in terms on the defensive end at the very least. So all credit to him, and long may it continue. That's what we want. We just want the pressure to be taken off the starters and the bench unit to be able to do enough of a job so we don't collapse, so we don't give up leads, so we consolidate what we've got, and then just wait for the guys to come back in, and then they can go do their thing again. That's all you want. It's really as simple as that. But we gave up the lane, and this is something that doesn't work, because Embiid scares people off away from the rim, and Dwight Howard is a good rim protector in his own right, but Embiid just people don't want to go down low with him, and too often people waltz into the lane, get those floaters games, or an alley-oop, or go rounding straight to the hoop, straight to the rim. So that stuff, again, that's something that needs to be worked on. Again, we can't just say, oh well, when Embiid's here, this is an issue, because we're going to play a lot of games without Joel Embiid. So we need to iron this out right now, because we can't keep giving up cheap buckets. It was far too easy. Abdenabi was getting so angry. I mean, you could hear it in his voice. He was getting so angry. He kept giving up these easy buckets, and that's what just needs to be eradicated ASAP. Really. Third quarter, again, we were giving up easy buckets in the sense that Ben kept trying to double team, and I have alluded to this before. He tries to double team and get the steal, and it was quite early in the shot clock when he was doing this. We don't need steals and blocks that they're really nice. We just need stops. You need to give them a contested, make sure they're having an off-balance, contested effort. As soon as you double team, and if they can pass it out that double team, which likes a Sabonis can, he's a really good passer with the ball, then they have wide open looks. So it does need, I think, I'm assuming someone on the bench had a word with him, because he stopped after that quite abruptly. But, when you give up those wide open looks, or you go to double, you have to make sure the ball does not leave the ball handler, or at least if it does, it's a really flimsy pass that's there to be had by one of our defenders. So that was a bit annoying, but I got nipped in the bud very quickly. There was a period when it was an 18-7 run spanning the second and the third quarter, just to illustrate how poor it had been in those quarters. But like I said, by the fourth quarter it kicked in, and up stepped Furkan Korkmaz, who hit threes, he hit mid-ranges. He was feeling it. Sometimes that's the only thing with Furkan, is that sometimes he just looks completely ineffective on the defensive end, even on the offensive end. He's a three-point shooter that's so hit and miss. Sometimes he'll drain the most obnoxious three-pointers you'll ever wish to see, and sometimes he'll airball the easy ones. So we just need to work on that a bit. But he was fantastic this game. This is all we want from the guy. Just threes, hitting your shots, and defensively, like, you know what you're going to get with him on the defensive end. But at the very least, it wasn't terrible. So on team defense, he does need to wise up a bit. I did notice sometimes people would go around the screens off the ball, and he was always a bit too late to notice it, and that's how they get those looks once again. But someone's got to work on that with him. It doesn't happen overnight, and you've got plenty of time to address these issues if you want to use them in the playoffs. Look, we can't. I don't like the idea of using Furkan in the playoffs, but it may come to the point where we might have to. Just, you know, but and if he improves, then why couldn't we use him? But there's a long way to go until that. So that was the Pacers game. It was just a lovely, lovely surprise. I think, like I said, it just looked, we were going to look at one of those games we were going to lose, let it get away from us. But we fought back, we were resilient. What a fantastic comeback victory. I'm not sure, I mean, I've only supported the Sixers for near enough 3 years now, and I don't think I've remembered seeing something quite like this in terms of a comeback victory. Really dug deep against a good Pacers team, a really good Pacers team. They didn't have TJ Warren, but they did have Karis LeVert, but they had Brogdon, they had Turner, they had Sabonis. You know, the Holiday brothers. I had a little, you know, joke that they're not brilliant. They're not brilliant, but they're good. They're good, solid NBA players. So this was a really good turning point, and of course, it was in Indiana, who have fans. So this was a really good turning point. I hope we can just continue on with this. I don't want it to be a flash in the pan. I don't want us to go back to our old ways without Joel. We got the Hornets next. I expect Joel to play. It very much looks as if he plays one, misses one, unless it's crucial games, i.e. back-to-back Celtics or the Lakers or whatever else. I expect him to play. I hope there's nothing serious. I'm assuming when they say it's back tightness, it's just because that's just what we say, just so we can let him have a rest. But we'll have to see. Yeah, just a really, really nice surprise. I think we can all agree on that one, and I'm still a bit shocked. I think after the game, of course I was happy, but I was just like, what have I witnessed? This isn't what I expect from the Philadelphia 76ers at all. And it's just nice to see something different. I don't want to say, oh, under Brett Brown this wouldn't have happened. I don't think it probably would have. But the times they are changing. And long may it continue. Long may it continue. You know, we want to see the Sixers win, and we want to see these wins happen without Joel Embiid when he's not playing, because inevitably he won't. But anyway, I've talked long enough. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Do check out the sites I'll link in the description below. That's Visiball, of course. You provide all my stats. Awesome place to check out if you're a stat crazy guy. And indeed, USA merch. Awesome, awesome gear. Like, I'm going to check it out almost immediately after this. Awesome stuff. I think in lockdown you end up panic buying, but you know, if you're going to panic buy, I'd rather go on USA Sports Merch than of all places. So, you know, check all those guys out in the description below. I will see you next time for the Charlotte Hornets. Go Sixers.